History loves its kings, but what about the queens? While some are immortalized like Cleopatra or Elizabeth I, countless others have been erased, overshadowed, or reduced to scandalous rumors. But behind palace doors, these women wielded immense power, plotted in shadows, and often decided the fate of nations. Today, we're peeling back the curtains of time to reveal the secret lives of history's forgotten queens. Queen Njinga of Ndongo and Matamba, Angola. What happens when colonizers meet their match? In 17th century Angola, they met Queen Njinga. Born in 1583, she became the fierce leader of Ndongo and Matamba, vowing to resist Portuguese expansion. She was a master of strategy, forming alliances with the Dutch, leading armies, and even using psychological warfare. In a famous act of defiance, when a Portuguese governor offered her a mat to sit on the floor, she used one of her own servants as a human chair to assert her royal status. When commanders dismissed her as a woman, she dressed and commanded like a king. For over 40 years, she outmaneuvered one of Europe's strongest empires, securing her kingdom's independence and creating a haven for those fleeing the slave trade. Forgotten by many, but never truly defeated. Queen Urraca of Leon, Spain, 12th century. She was never supposed to rule, but when her father died in 1109, Queen Urraca of Leon took the throne. Medieval Europe wasn't ready for a queen. To secure her power, she was forced into a political marriage with Alfonso I of Aragon, a fierce warrior who became her greatest enemy. Their alliance collapsed into a bloody civil war, husband against wife, king against queen. Male chroniclers, threatened by her authority, smeared her as scandalous and ruthless. But behind the insults was a savvy ruler fighting to survive. She secured an annulment from the Pope, outmaneuvered rebellious nobles, and fought a decade-long war against her ex-husband. For 17 turbulent years, Urraca held her ground. She proved that even in the brutal Middle Ages, a queen could rule on her own terms, and paved the way for her son to become one of Spain's greatest kings. Queen Ranavalnavalona I of Madagascar. History nicknamed her the Mad Queen, but in Madagascar, she was the sovereign who refused to surrender. Queen Ranavalona I ruled from 1828 to 1861, defying European powers who wanted her island. She outlawed Christianity, expelled foreign missionaries, and preserved Malagasy traditions with often brutal policies. Yes, her reign was harsh. Thousands died in purges and forced labour. But here's the crucial twist. While much of Africa was being carved up by colonizers, Ranavalona's ruthless defiance kept Madagascar independent for 33 years. Was she a tyrant? Without a doubt. But she was also the iron shield of her kingdom. European powers called her mad because they couldn't control her. In the end, Queen Ranavalona was less a madwoman and more the queen who absolutely refused to bow. Queen Empress Wu Zetian, China, Tang Dynasty. In a world where women were meant to serve, Wu Zetian became the one who ruled. She entered the Tang court as a low-ranking concubine, but through brilliant strategy and ruthless ambition, she rose to become empress, and then did the unthinkable. In 690 AD, she founded her own dynasty and declared herself emperor, the only woman in Chinese history ever to do so. Her reign was a mix of brilliant reform and deadly intrigue. She promoted scholars based on merit, not birth, but also used a secret police to eliminate any threat. Confucian historians, scandalized by a female emperor, painted her as a monster. But the truth is, Wu Zetian was a master of power in a man's world. She didn't just rule China, She shattered a 3,000-year-old barrier and redefined what was possible. Queen Amanirenas, Kush, Nubia. When Rome marched into Nubia in the 1st century BC, they thought conquest would be easy. Then came Queen Amanirenas of Kush, a warrior queen who lost an eye in battle but never her fire. Leading armies herself, she ambushed Roman forces, destroyed fortresses, and even captured statues of Emperor Augustus, cutting off their heads as trophies. For years, she fought Rome to a bloody stalemate. In the end, Rome agreed to peace, withdrawing its troops and exempting Kush from tribute. One-eyed but unbroken, Queen Amanirenas proved that even the world's strongest empire could be stopped by the will of a warrior queen. Queen Theodelinda, Lombards, Italy. Not all queens ruled with swords. Some ruled with faith and strategy. Theodelinda of the Lombards, a Bavarian princess who became Queen of Italy in the late 500s, built her power through wisdom. She masterfully converted the warlike Lombards from Arian Christianity to Catholicism, winning the crucial support of the Pope and stabilizing her kingdom. She became a legendary diplomat, balancing power between the Lombards, the papacy in Rome, and the Byzantine Empire. Her legacy is tangible. She is traditionally credited with commissioning the Iron Crown of Lombardy, used for centuries to crown Italian kings. While other rulers sought glory on the battlefield, Theodelinda secured her legacy through faith and diplomacy, proving that the sharpest weapon a queen can wield is a unifying vision. Queen Sobekneferu, Egypt. Long before Cleopatra, Egypt's throne was claimed by Sobekneferu, the first woman officially recognized as pharaoh. She ruled in the 1800s BC, at the end of the Middle Kingdom, stepping in after the death of her brother with no male heir left. To secure power, she styled herself as both man and woman, blending male royal titles with female imagery. Her reign lasted only about 4 years, but it was historic. Sobekneferu opened the door for future queens like Hatshepsut to follow. She may not be the most famous pharaoh, but she was the first woman who proved Egypt could be ruled by a queen in her own right. Queen Margaret I of Denmark, Kalmar Union. In the 14th century, while Europe was torn apart by rival kings, one woman built an empire of her own. Queen Margaret I of Denmark outmaneuvered nobles and foreign threats to unite Denmark, Norway and Sweden under her rule, forming the Kalmar Union in 1397. Though she often ruled as a sovereign lady rather than a crowned queen, she wielded absolute power, becoming known as the Lady and Master of the North. She even died on a military campaign, a testament to her relentless drive. Though later rulers would undo her work, Margaret's vision of a united Scandinavia shaped the region's identity for centuries. She wasn't just a queen, she was the architect of the North. Queen Tamar of Georgia. In the 12th century, Georgia crowned a woman and gave her the title of king. Tamar of Georgia inherited a fragile throne, but through wisdom, faith, and unmatched political skill, she built the most powerful kingdom of the Caucasus. She didn't just rule, she redefined power. She divorced an unsuitable husband, crushed rebellions, and expanded an empire so vast she was called King of Kings. Under her, Georgia entered its golden age, a flourishing of art, poetry, and architecture that defined the nation. To her people, she was a saint and a sovereign, remembered forever as Tamar the Great. She proved that a queen didn't just match a king, she could become one of history's greatest monarchs. Queen Himiko, Japan. Did you know Japan's first recorded ruler was a mysterious shaman queen? In the 3rd century, Queen Himiko ruled the legendary Yamatai kingdom. Chinese chronicles describe her as a reclusive leader who communicated with the gods, using her spiritual power to bring peace where warfare had failed. She governed through her brother while she performed rituals, and she even exchanged diplomats and gifts with China. But after her death, she vanished into legend. The location of her kingdom and her massive mound-style tomb remain one of Japan's greatest archaeological mysteries. Himiko wasn't just a queen. She was the prototype of the divine ruler, a symbol that spiritual authority was political power. Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, France, England. Meet Eleanor of Aquitaine, one of the most powerful women in medieval Europe. Queen of both France and England, she wasn't just a royal bride, she was a political force. As Duchess of Aquitaine, she owned more land than the King of France, whom she married and then divorced. She then married Henry II to become Queen of England. She rode on the Second Crusade, led a rebellion against her own husband, and was imprisoned for 16 years for it. She gave birth to 2 future kings of England, Richard the Lionheart and King John, shaping European history for generations. Brilliant, formidable, and resilient, Eleanor of Aquitaine didn't stand behind kings. She stood beside them, and often she outshone them all. These queens may have been forgotten by mainstream history, but their legacies still whisper through the centuries. Which queen story shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this journey into hidden history, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more tales of power, scandal, and mystery. Because sometimes, the greatest stories are the ones history tried hardest to erase.